Hey guys, we just got back from Guy Ritchie's The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, a quite long title, starring our boy Henry Cavil and Alan Ritchson, who is Reacher fame. And I hope maybe he can become Batman in the DCU. We'll see.
He's not big enough.
He might be too big.
He's too small for Batman.
Anyways, we went out and saw this film. I saw the trailer, saw Henry, saw Alan, saw them laughing, having fun, shooting up Nazis. And that's what I went in expecting, and that's what I got. So I had a good time. Let's hear from the boys first. Which one of y'all want to go?
Go ahead.
This movie is fun. If you're looking for an amazing, fantastic movie, this ain't it. This isn't Inglourious Bastards. This isn't The Dirty Dozen. But this is a perfect popcorn flick. It knows what it is. It has a good time with it through and through. I think the cast does a really good job. The action sequences are pretty great. For me, it slouched a little bit. I'd say about two-thirds. It really kind of slows down. But ultimately, it kind of pays off in the end, and I definitely don't regret going to the movies to see this.
Thank you guys so much for watching the Angry Joe Show. We'll see you on the next. That actually is
sums it
absolutely
up. Honestly,
perfect.
Yeah.
It's fun. There's a lot of quippy dialogue. There's a lot of thumbing your nose at the freaking admirals and people in charge who don't have any idea what's going on. They want to capitulate to the Nazis. And this is a story of the pre-special operations. This is actually based on a true story. Now, obviously, they ramp up the action to 11 and play with events. But this is a real operation, which actually was kind of pre-SAS and kind of inspired some of the special forces teams that we have today. It's fascinating. I immediately want to learn more about this operation.
It's based on a book. You can buy the book.
What do you know the name of the book?
The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Okay, and the real operation was called Operation Postmaster in World War II. And I think the cast holds it up, but I do think, just like the boys, that it sags in the middle.
It does.
Something with the pacing. There's a lot of separate pieces that need to be implemented and set up, and some of these pieces are less interesting than other pieces. But when everything is set to blow, it does do a satisfying explosion towards the end, and that's what I'm here for. And I can see everybody having fun. I can see just it's kind of a throwback to the old school, action flicks, and I liked it. So there's a lot of quips. Some of them work, some of them don't. Some of the dialogue, you could tell this Guy Ritchie, the screenplay is actually 4 people. Paul Tomasi, Eric Johnson, Arash Amel, and Guy Ritchie himself. And you can tell that they're not quite at the levels of Inglourious Bastards or
even some of Guy Ritchie's previous stuff.
Guy Ritchie's previous stuff. Yeah, I would say this isn't his best film, but it's certainly not his worst. I think you're going to have a great time in the film. They are incredibly entertaining to watch, especially Alan Ritchson. God damn, that man is so fucking swole, but yet he moves so fast.
Well, he has low T, so he had to take testosterone.
He's like the personification of a space marine. He's just so goddamn fast. And seeing him come down a hallway, I'm like, oh. He's also an expert bowman. So all this is really fascinating and leads to a really satisfying action experience that I do think you should see in the theaters. What else? Is there any? Let's kick it back to you guys. Is there any subplots that you enjoyed, didn't enjoy?
For me, I really enjoyed all the action scenes, but for in between, kind of dragged for me. There was not a lot of tension going on. Yeah, there's some information that needed to be said or whatnot, and I just didn't feel like it had gravity to it. I'm just
Where did it sag for you, Alex?
About halfway to 2/3 of the way through. Right before, that things really start to get going, it really started to drag. I think this movie shines when Guy Ritchie wants to be Guy Ritchie, and I think when he's trying to imitate Quentin.
So where did it sag for you, Alex?
Yeah, I think the movie does really well when Guy Ritchie is trying to be Guy Ritchie, and when he is trying to be Quentin Tarantino, it really kind of falters. He halfway through, he's trying to do some more development, and he's honestly, it's straight stolen scenes out of Inglourious Bastards, where they're leading to people trying
Even
to
have
figure
the same actor, right?
yeah, same
The
actor
same
from
villain.
the same goddamn thing. The guy is in the movie, and then they're figuring some stuff out based on I don't want to spoil anything for you, but I think that when he's doing the stuff towards the beginning, which is very Guy Ritchie and it's very good, and the end stuff is Guy Ritchie action stuff, but the stuff in the middle, it didn't feel authentic.
I feel the same way. After they rescued Apple, it kind of sagged for me. The whole Heron and what was her name again?
Yes.
I forgot what the lady's name was.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Elsa?
Maddie? No.
Marjorie?
Marjorie?
Isa
Marjorie?
Gonzalez as Marjorie Stewart.
Marjorie.
Okay, yeah, that kind of sagged for me. It wasn't as strong as the rest of the stuff. I wish I could have seen some more action. It's not a lot of action, but when you do get it, it's there. I would say beginning and then towards the end, everything kind of.
Yeah, so we have our badass, ungentlemanly team, like 5 guys, elite, and then there is a separate actions and setup going on with Mr. Aaron, who is sort of the underground shipping guy who gets all this stuff done and was set up by the British far in advance. And then you have this kind of special agent, Marjorie Stewart, who uses her beauty and guile to seduce some of the Germans. And yeah, I think in that storyline there's a little bit of sagging. It's a little weaker, but ultimately still has a good satisfying payoff. Everything comes together in the end. And I think this is about 2 hours. Yeah, exactly 2 hours. And I think it could have been tightened up even more.
Yeah.
Maybe you cut 20 minutes of it, keep that pacing going the whole time, and you're running at full speed the whole time. Here, it definitely does sort of take its time and leans on the dialogue, and the dialogue's not quite as good as we've seen in the past before. And surprisingly, for a Guy Ritchie film, Guy Ritchie, he does a lot of style. He does, you got the titles of the locations that smash the screen and stuff, and he does a lot of inanimate objects that have the camera on it, and you can kind of see what's going on from an object. But he doesn't in this particular one, maybe because it's based on a true story and he's trying to pay respect to these guys that were real, he is restrained a little bit. He doesn't do a lot of his crazy over-the-top things, and I actually don't see why not, because I think there's certain parts that could have used it. Now, that's not to say that he doesn't open up, because this film definitely has that. There's a subplot where they need one of their guys that Henry Cavill's character wants Gus in his team, but that guy is currently incarcerated by the Germans. So they're going to need to break him out of the prison, and that was an extremely entertaining scene. Yeah. Almost worth the price of admission alone there. And then you couple that with a satisfying climax on these boats, because this is
sag in the middle, but
these there you go. That's exactly how it sets up, because this is a naval operation, and in fact, Ian Fleming was involved here. And if you don't know, that's how you have James Bond essentially. Mm-hmm. So Henry Cavill essentially gets to get his time as James Bond kind of thing. And I would love to tell y'all more about the real life people in the operation. So we'll do that in the spoilers and talk to you in the spoilers. But let's go ahead and give some final verdicts for this one.
This was a good popcorn flick. I really enjoyed it. A little bit of drag. I wanted to see some more chemistry between Alan and Henry.
Yeah,
that
they
nice.
have, when they have a scene together, it's great, but it's very minimal. Yeah. And I wish we would have got more of them. They do kind of take separate. You gotta, with only 5 people on the team, you gotta separate the team, and they do end up separating.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted a little bit more action, some more tense scenes, but for what it was, I still enjoyed it. I'd probably give it a 7.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a little lack of tension and suspense. It's just all payoff with the action. And a lot of other films have that. You can feel that build a little bit better. I did appreciate Carrie Uhl's character, from Princess Bride, who is, setting up this operation and kind of doing it off on the side under the guidance of Churchill, who is played here actually by Rory Kinnear.
Yeah.
does a great job with it, and half the government is like, don't do this shit. And Winston Churchill is like, this is his baby. And seeing that unfold and seeing division within the British Empire themselves in such a critical operation, trying to clear the seas of this German U-boat menace and help set up the next phase of the war was a fascinating thing that sort of supplemented some of the lack of tension, at least for me. So I'll let Alex give his rating next.
Yeah, I think this is a super strong action movie. Doesn't take itself too seriously, and so I didn't take it super seriously. So I also think that this is a 7. It's a really fun watch if you're just looking for a fun action movie that probably has very little. I mean, I think the pieces kind of end up in the same place, but like he had the opportunity to kind of do whatever he wanted, and for me, it just felt for a Guy Ritchie movie restrained. Maybe a little inauthentic. Him trying to do a movie that he wanted to do the Dirty Dozen, and he wanted to do these other films and I just wish he would have done more of his own thing. So that's the only reason it lost little points for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was between an 8 and a 7. I think ultimately I'm going to land on a 7. Go out and watch this one. I think it loses some points for sagging at times and losing a little bit of momentum, and then maybe one point for the Guy Ritchie restraint. I think go ahead. You're already embellishing some of the events of the operation, so we might as well go full on and give us the full Guy Ritchie experience in your version of Operation Postmaster. But still does enough. The characters really carry the film, and gives us some great action at the end. So go out and see this one if you're a fan of Henry or Alan, or you like Guy Ritchie's style, or you just want a story about Nazis getting beat the fuck up in World War II, and how sort of the creation of special forces. I really liked that, because this was kind of before they started doing that regularly. So yeah, there you go. Churchill's Secret Warriors, the explosive truth of the true story of the Special Forces desperados of World War II. If you thought this title was long, that's the longer title from based on the 2014 book by Damian Lewis. Obviously, it's a heavy fictionalized version of what we have here. So, anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you in the spoiler section. Hey guys, welcome to the spoiler section. So, because it was based on a true story, I want to, pay respect to these people, because that's fucking amazing. Essentially, you have a bunch of U-boats that are terrorizing the seas, and the British intelligence manages to find where they're resupplying the German U-boats. So giving them CO2, giving them weapons, torpedoes, fuel, and it is cleverly in a Spanish harbor. And because of this, kind of hiding it and having that cross there, it's vulnerable to, attack. And this operation was to... At least in the film, I think it was to destroy it, but I think in real life it was actually to steal it, which is what happens here. There's some twists that go on that keeps the actual movie that we saw entertaining. Alex, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so they discover that this is where it's going to be. So our Heron has established himself there as a casino owner and a legal shipper, and all of his clients are the Nazi brass, and so this is how he's getting all this information. Gus March Phillips is actually in prison at the time, and so he's brought out by M and by Ian Fleming. And just kind of given the mission. It's like, look, you got to do whatever you got to do, but these things need to get sunk, or we're going to be speaking German by the end of the week. Yeah. And what's kind of cool is, so Henry Cavil was in an interview was saying that Gus March Phillips actually also was a writer, and he was writing spy novels, and so not only was Ian Fleming writing about Gus March Phillips, but Gus March Phillips was potentially writing about it. So that's fun. Yeah.
There was, at the end of the film, there's a montage of details that reveal kind of what happens to these characters afterwards. I'd like to share with you. Gus became a war hero and would helm several similar raids during the war before marrying Marjorie, who is the girl in here that does the wiles against the Nazi officer. And she had a movie career. In fact, they named 3 films. I forgot some of them, but she was in
The
some.
Wicked.
Yeah,
The
I don't remember
Weak,
The Wicked.
And then something else.
Yeah.
The Wicked, the what?
The Week and
The
something
Week, maybe.
else.
And Appleyard, who was the guy that they break out of prison, would go on to become a highly accomplished spy, notable for surviving a year of Nazi torture without breaking. Lassen, who is Anders Lassen, Alan Rich's
His
character,
picture looked a little small compared to.
Yeah.
I mean, it may have
he wasn't
embellished.
as large
Hollywood
as
magic.
Alan.
Oh, okay.
He would go on to be a part of raids outside of the group until his death in 1945. And then Ian Fleming, who had been part of Gubbin's inner circle during this time, would use the Operation Postmaster as the inspirational basis for his James Bond novel. Yeah. So what? Let's see. What do we got here? And then, so Operation Postmaster was a naval operation. The plan was for agents of the SOE and the SSRF, small-scale raiding force, was to travel to that island of Fernando, and where they would steal the Italian and the German ships and sail them to Lagos. The British commander of the region initially forbade the support of the raid, fearing it would violate their agreement to honor Spain's neutrality, but the SOE went over the commander's head and got express permission to carry out the operation. So it was conducted successfully. The Spanish were fucking pissed because they you conducted an attack on our territory. Obviously, the Germans were pissed off and angrily accused the Brits of the operation, something that the British government denied. They're like, wait, what? What operation? What are you talking about? And that's great. And then, however, it says here, however, the agent in charge of the Africa station of the SOE dryly commented in his report to the SOE head, Gubbins, that perhaps next time it will not be necessary for prolonged negotiations before undertaking a 30-minute operation. So apparently they got it done really, really quickly. Winston Churchill's own government minister overseeing the SEO said that other neutral governments would be impressed that Britain would, if needed, would disregard legal formalities of war in their efforts to succeed. So basically, Britain was like, well, fuck, if the Germans are going to break all the rules of warfare and we are fighting for our existence. I mean, there's a moment in the film when Churchill is literally being bombed in London by the German bombers. He's like, look, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to break, all these other laws.
Terrible. So many parts of British culture never actually escaped, the feelings of being bombed constantly. Like, their cuisine never recovered.
Ouch! She's gonna, and that's actually in the film. There's a whole scene about whose cuisines are better. They got the British. Are we gonna be eating fish and chips for the rest of our lives, or are we gonna be eating fucking sausages and
cabbage
and black bread? And I'm like, I think I'd rather go fish and chips. What would you go? I think you're a sausage man.
Easy.
Joe, I know, has to go.
Like, I like fish and chips,
but you hate fish.
But the rest of their cuisine, man.
I'm gonna go fish and chips. But then when they were talking about paella from the Spaniards, that's where we're all going. And ham, jamon, and some other dish.
Jamon iberico.
Let the Spanish take over.
Amazing. And the Italians? Oof.
Yeah. So so that side plot with Heron and Marjorie actually has some good bits to it.
It did, but it was too long. But I honestly never felt nervous for her at all. I was like, okay, we're just moving through the scenes.
There was one scene that actually, it was a cool scene, but the existence of the scene made me mad. It's when Heron goes in, he's planting a bomb, and he's discovered. So he's sabotaging the power plant, and the Spanish discover him. And he just kills 2 of them and stabs one of them in the heart.
Germans.
I think it was
one of them was the one in the middle. I think it was German, but the Spanish control the way. He kills 3 bad guys, and I was like, "Holy nothing!" It's that scene was awesome. The fact that he was doing cool action shit pissed me off because I just watched 30 minutes of him not doing anything that felt important or impactful. It was like if we were gonna have him do important, impactful stuff, we could have sprinkled that throughout, and it would have fixed the sag for me.
Yes.
All of the action is really great. There's moments where his pistol will stop, and then he's trying to, and then he gets up close and does the knife. knife. There's so many bow and arrows. There's so many machine guns. It's also visceral. Eventually, what they have to do is they have to destroy the fuel depot, destroy the power, and destroy the lines on the anchor so that they can move the ship. Because at the last minute, they learn from Marjorie and getting reports back and forth. Now, obviously, all this is embellished in last minute to fill that tension, that the ship has been armored and it's not going to simply explode, because their explosive experts can take out ships very, very easily. But they can't do it now. So they have to do all of these things. And so Heron plans 2 parties, one for the officers and one for the soldiers. They lock the soldiers in there, but the soldiers don't know it, as if nobody needed to go to the bathroom. But whatever. The lights go out, but he has a separate generator. So all this clever stuff. And this is all depicted very nicely, and I loved it. And we have Marjorie who's dressing in amazing, revealing dresses and using her beauty to confuse and misdirect our German officer who leads the whole thing, who at one, they do some great stuff. I should have mentioned this in the review, with dropping the sound and playing with that to try to heighten the tension, and it works in some of those areas, but I just wish there was more of that tension. So eventually she is discovered. And what Alex was saying before, I had to cut it out, so if it looked like there was a jump, it was what happened?
It's a scene stolen directly from Inglourious Basterds. She's singing Mac the Knife, and then she switches to German for no reason, and then she uses a Yiddish phrase instead of a German phrase. And even though her entire job is to work with the Jews of New York, and it's entirely possible that she would pick up this language from somewhere, he immediately knows that she's some...
And in fact, she even did a scene before where she was joking that she was Jewish, and she was just taunting him with it, but then she laughs, and he uncomfortably laughs. So it could have been like she's just jabbing him again, but instantly he's like, get this bitch, we have a Jew amongst us.
Yeah, and then so he's going to shackle her, and you think that he's going to cut her into little pieces, because they spoil, like, before, he's actually introduced after murdering, some woman. Yeah. But they shackle her, but immediately put her in a car for some reason. Like, everything with her is just tension.
Exactly.
That didn't make no sense. I thought he left her behind. And it's like, well, fuck, what is Heron going to do? He's going to have to fucking go on another mini operation to break her out, but for no reason they bring her in the
time's already
car.
Running out, so...
But again, that's the movie stuff.
Brought her to a battlefield. Why?
Okay, so what else? Oh, I love the scene at the beginning where the Germans board the Swedish ship. And, and
that's what we see in the trailer, so that was a good one.
That's a great scene. I just love how these guys are OP in the show. Like, the Germans never really fight or get a chance to fight until the very end, and then there's massive gunfire, and I like the gunfire back and forth, but because they're on the boats, and the boats have fucking machine guns, it's a little easier to fight them. But when they just see Germans are, and then there's one point where they get right in their face, and it's like, what's the greeting in German that he says when he disarms the guys? Because he goes pop, pop, pop. Right? He said hello, or like hello, butterfly. He said something like that. Oh, it's just like all these like flawless maneuvers are, depicted really well, and liked it. It was entertaining. But you could tell our team is OP, and I was a little worried. I was like, are we going to get any conflict? And we do eventually get some shit goes wrong.
Yeah, one guy gets shot in the shoulder because like 900 German soldiers go to the side of the docks, and then they all start firing, and like the boats haven't started moving yet, so they're not super far, and they're like peeking up, and our guys are killing 9 guys a shot.
I'm going to assume that the operation was mostly bloodless and super fucking successful, and that our guy getting shot was just something that they did to give a little bit more tension. Because there is a lot of blood in this one. When they board the Duchess or whatever the main ship was, I mean, Alan Ritchson's character has to take on like fucking 20 guys in the hallway.
Great fucking scene. Never probably happened, but of course.
Right.
Great
but
fucking
I don't give
scene.
a fuck if it happened or not, because we're just being entertained. So
I'm surprised he even fit down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carrie Ewell's Gubbins and Henry Cavill's Guy March Phillips were real people, as previously noted. Gubbins brought together the team, oversaw them. March Phillips, who was later killed, so Henry Cavill's character was killed during, not character, actual person. he was killed during Operation Aqua Tint. So, sadly. However, other characters in the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare other existed. So, Alan Ritchson was a sailor involved in the raid. He was the first to board the Italian vessel, the Duchessa, for his efforts, given a field commission and a military cross. Later, after he joined the Special Air Force, he was posthumously awarded a Victoria Cross after being killed in Italy in 1945. That's sad. Alex Pettifer's Godfrey Appleyard, the guy that broke out of the prison, he was second in command. He sailed his own separate crew to rendezvous with the rest before the mission. For his actions, he was awarded a bar on his military cross. Later, he joined the Special Air Service, but his plane went missing on a mission, and Appleyard was presumed dead. They don't know what happened. And then Henry Hayes, Graham's Hayes in reality, helped train the raiders on how to board, sail, and navigate the ships, as none other than Lawson had, nobody besides Lawson, Alan Richardson's character, had any naval experience. He was also awarded with a military cross. Later, during September 1942 mission of Operation Aqua Tint, Hayes was captured by German soldiers and kept as a POW of the Nazis until being executed by firing squad in 1945. Damn, man, that sucks. Whew. And then Eliza Gonzalez is Marjorie Stewart, real person. In fact, she was the future wife of Gus March Phillips, I guess before he was killed in Operation Aqua Tint, although they weren't married at the time of Operation Postmaster. That said, she may have been involved with the operation in some way as a liaison or doing undercover civilian work. The historical records aren't clear, so obviously they made her role a lot bigger. And entertainingly so. Now, I think after this film, a lot more people know about the Operation Postmaster and sort of the precursor to all of our special forces in the SAS and stuff like that. And it was a really fun ride. Anything else we want to call out here? Let's see. Yeah, it was pretty convenient that they brought the girl back with the car, and then Mr. Heron was able to use his pistol to sort of get her out of there, even though the island right now is filled with Germans who are firing.
It also is also very convenient that
with the patrol
the British pulled him over, like, "How you guys need to stop. We know what you're doing." He's like, "Oh, we got a submarine in the boat." He's like, "All right, see you guys later."
Oh, we got to go right
Stop
now.
it. Go home.
Go home, and they deal with the submarine. I was a little disappointed with that scene because I thought maybe that they would get hit or with a torpedo, or there'd be some explosion, but it's no. We're gonna do this operation now. Operation depth charges against a potential submarine enemy combatant, and then we just leave, and we don't actually get to see what happens there. I was like, that would have been cool. However, I think it's to set up the commander himself, so we get a little cheeky hello again to the commander that tried to stop our operation, and see, our operation was a success. And the fucking dick is like, we'll get in the brig, separate prisons. Oh man, fuck y'all. This is the whole thing. This can change everything. So that was a little annoying. And when they succeed, they are taken to prison, and this is the the ending scene. And I'm like, fuck, man, Churchill, get your ass over there. And he does. He goes to the prison.
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
1 month.
What the fuck, Churchill? Goddamn, boy, it took too long.
He had stuff to do. He had
I got a war to run. But he does end up showing there, and then obviously this is probably dramatized, but he himself shows up, gives them a speech, and thanks them essentially, even says that the Americans are grateful as well, and he's got like fucking delicious foods for them. Lobster and
hot
fucking
water,
pies,
hot
and
watercrust pastry,
all sorts of good stuff.
I was hoping there was steaks.
And he says, "From now on, you work for me." There's not going to be a sequel. This was an operation. So
you don't know that.
No, I don't think so.
There are other missions they can make stuff up about.
I don't know, maybe, but not with these characters.
Not makeup, enhance.
Oh,
enhance, because they never came together back all of these ones in this way, but. Highly entertaining, and we recommend that you go out and see it. And I'm happy to see Henry Cavil in some good projects, getting some work. And up until what? He's got Highlander coming up. He's also, still working on his Warhammer show. I'm getting a little worried about the Warhammer show because, me personally, I think it's going to be hard to fucking execute. To be frank with you, I think they're going to fuck it up. at least initially, before they have to course correct, because that's a high level of difficulty.
Unless you do Eisenhorn and it's written perfectly.
There you
and
go.
then
Eisenhorn could work.
And then because the Space Marines only show up every now and then, and
We
so
need that.
And
We
then
need
so it's
a-
like you
we
set
need
up
a
the universe
taste.
for everyone. Please, those books are great. You should
Get
read
a
those.
taste. You should. Eisenhorn is a perfect entry for you guys to read. But I do think Highlander is going to go well.
Yeah.
All that training in The Witcher will help out, and I do hope that Alan Ritchson's son gets more outside of Reacher. I know we're going to get another Reacher season, but I would love to see him maybe in the DCU. And if he's
Aquaman.
too big for Batman, give him a
Be
different
Aquaman
role.
again.
Aquaman?
He was already Aquaman.
Oh, that's right. Wow, that's old school. He was also screaming at the top of his lungs
Bad.
in Mountain
Blue Mountain State.
Blue Mountain State. So we like him. We like both these actors. So go out and see the film.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Our critic brains gave it a 7, but our fan brains, I'm probably giving it an 8, 9. Go out and check it out. See you on the next Angry Joe show. Bye, guys.